Matt, great to have you back on BYU Sports Nation. This is interview 316 for Matt today. So
the best one. That's my favorite one.
It wasn't that long ago you were calling Thursday Night Football and you were at BYU and you got to know Kalani Sitake and BYU on another level. What makes you feel like, even though there's a tricky situation at quarterback, that BYU can still be competitive in this year's Big 12?
Well, they have a great defense, and as Kalani will tell you, like everybody in BYU's history wants to talk about the offense, but it's always been the toughness of the defense that has kind of separated them and kept the program to who and what they are traditionally. The defense is going to be great. We had Isaiah on with us earlier, just a great kid, wonderful kid, talking about what he likes about coming out of high school as a receiver. And I was like, you know what, we should get you an offensive package. But bottom line, defense is going to set the table. Then they got Chase, one of the best receivers in the league. And I really believe that if your leadership structure is sound at the right positions, the ones where you've got a new player are going to take care of itself. And he's high. I think Kalani, as you guys know this, he's high on the other quarterbacks on the roster. One of them is going to compete. And what happens in a competition? It brings out the best in someone. And so it could be a blessing in disguise. You may have had an entrenched starter, but now you're going to find out with one of these three which one's going to step up. And with the surrounding pieces, I think BYU, again, is in store for another good season. I really do.
Your good friend Brock Osweiler, who, again, you were working with all day today, told me a few hours ago, maybe it's just because, and these are his words, maybe it's just because I'm optimistic, but I don't think there's going to be a drop-off for BYU if, to your point, you can find a guy who can distribute it to the weapons and that defense can do what they do. Is that too much of a hot take?
I don't think so. Again, it's where you're solid. Where's your foundation? Where's your leadership? Where are your veteran players? And, yeah, everyone wants a veteran quarterback. But we've seen it time and time again that if you've got a guy that can run the offense with the way it's structured, you've got a good running game and a reliable receiver, you can do what you want. And I think that's where BYU is. Would they love to have the veteran quarterback? Yeah, of course. No one's saying the Retzlaff situation isn't good. Is it not good? I mean, it's not good. But if you have a player that separates himself and the team select, one of the biggest misnomers in sports, the coach doesn't select the quarterback, the team selects the quarterback. And whoever the team rallies around, I think Brock's dead on. I mean, they were 11-2 last year, tied for first in the Big 12, tiebreaker didn't go their way, fine. I believe they are one of 5 or 6 teams in the league, BYU, that can win it. I really do.
Matt Barrie of ESPN with us on BYU Sports Nation. When you listen to Commissioner Yormark talk about the Big 12's position for the college football playoff and the current construct, where he says, look, right now, might not be great if we actually went to a 5 AQs plus 11 at-large, but we feel like it eventually will be the best thing for us. Do you buy into that it's the best for the Big 12?
Look, we were talking about it, that of any league in the country, I mean, seriously, let's have this conversation about any conference in the country. Who's the deepest? It's the Big 12, and it's not even close. It's not even remotely close that I could say half the league could win it, right? So what happens in that situation? It's a cannibalizing effect where everyone beats up on each other. You might be a really deep league, but you might have a lot of 9-3 teams. Well, how is a 9-3 team with a bunch of them going to look at a college football playoff format? Because as we know, the committee's enamored by record. Well, our records aren't created equal. I'll take a 9-3 Big 12 team over a 12-0 team that plays in a lesser conference any day of the week. And so we've got to find a way to where everyone's playing the same amount of conference games across the country. So every league, you're either playing 8 or 9, part one. Part two, you get rid of these garbage non-conference games, and everybody finds a way to play another Power 4. Then when we're looking at resumes, and you see a 10-2 and a 9-3, it's like, well, that 9-3 team, everyone played the same amount of conference games, but they also played Clemson out of league, they played Mississippi State, they played Michigan State. Now we're talking that it could benefit the league, but right now it's interesting because it's so competitively balanced. We might get to a conference championship this year where there's a 10-2 against a 9-3. And the 9-3 team might be good, but the committee might say, they're 9-3, you know. And so I think he's right in that eventually I think it'll shake out. But right now, with the way the league's structured, it would be tough.
Now, you as an Arizona State grad had every right to celebrate the fact that the Sun Devils were picked 16th last year and won the conference. Incredible. We're this close to taking out Texas in the Peach Bowl. I guess my follow-up question to that is, do you feel like because Arizona State was picked 16th that, in Commissioner Yormark's words, it actually hurt their perception?
Absolutely. I mean, I saw it firsthand. I called their Week 3 game against Texas State, and I'm in studio every Saturday from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. to college football final. I can tell you how many Arizona State highlights were on for the first half of the season. None. And then all of a sudden the Kansas State game happened, and there was a little bit of momentum, and Cam Scatterbo was having all these crazy highlights, and Sam Levitt started to take off. It's like, well, we better start paying attention to the Sun Devils. They're actually in contention to win the Big 12. And to me, it's my biggest pet peeve in college football. Of all the things I love about the sport, preseason polls, rankings, they're garbage. They mean nothing. There are teams that are ranked in the top 10 that won't sniff the top 40 at the end of the season. But they get the benefit of the doubt of being the top 10 team. Here's the other thing about them. If you find a team that comes up the rankings in the season, like, oh, they got a top 5 win early in the season. Well, yeah, well, where's that top 5 team now that was preseason ranked top 5? They're 35th. And so, yeah, early season perception hurts everyone, just like it helps teams that are overranked. And so I'm glad they got rid of the preseason poll. I think it's sometimes they're just lazy and no one does their research. So for me, let's just start with a clean slate. And I think Yormark said it today. Just do the – oh, no, it was the coaches. It was in the coaches roundtable. Do the first rankings when the college football playoff rankings come out. And then we'll figure out who's really good.
So you mean any national poll, wait until the first week in November?
How about just give me a month? Let me see who's really good. Because how many times have we seen USC be in the top 10 and they end up being garbage by mid-October? Give me a month. Give me 4 games. Give me some body of work to if I really think that this team is any good, and then we'll have an informed opinion. Until then, it's just paper and stuff for people to yell about.
All right, finally, in the spirit of Arizona State, who do you feel like is the team that is way off the radar this year in the Big 12 that could surprise some folks by the end of the season?
See, I came in thinking Texas Tech, but as I learned throughout our 5 hours of TV today, they're not overlooked by anyone. I think that they are so talented, and they're a team you need to watch. I think Baylor, with Sawyer coming back, with Dave Aranda figuring out that defense, they're a team to watch. Kansas State and Avery Johnson, they're a team to watch. BYU 11-2, they're a team to watch. Is Dampier going to be the transfer portal star of the year at Utah? So they're really, I think that's another thing Arizona State did, is it kind of took the dark horse away from everyone, because that's never going to happen again. And maybe Oklahoma State, for the simple fact that just by math, at 21 years, Mike Gundy's not going to do what he did last year and go winless in the conference. So maybe Oklahoma State. But at the end of the day, it goes back to what we were talking about a minute ago. I don't think there's a Team 16. Now, Rich Rod might have a tough time coming back because the roster turnover, Scott Frost, roster turnover, 6 to 8 plus new players. That could be the case there. Arizona struggled a little bit last year, but they got a veteran quarterback. So maybe one of those 3 if they get things going, but it's just such a deep league. I don't think there's going to be any team that's just like garbage and just doesn't do anything.
I would like to compliment you for crushing interview number 316, roughly speaking. This is the kind of journalism you get from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism.
Cronkite School. There's a bunch of Cronkiters running around here. I mean, we're all over the place. But it is Big 12 Media Days, and it is a Big 12 school, so that's why we dominate the joint.
Matt, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
You bet. Anytime.